record. All right, what's going on, everybody? So April 18th, we have some amazing special guests. I'm going to keep this short and sweet on my part. I do not want to talk very much. My name is Brian Rhodes. I got started in this about 35 days ago. I got introduced to Billy Womack and basically blew my mind in 30 minutes of talking to him, to where I was like, you can't unsee this. I was like, I would be silly. I would cry later on because I didn't buy a couple of these nodes and diversify into this. So, the more I did research on it, the more I looked at everything, basically did due diligence as fast as I could, which was about 5 hours worth hiding in the closet because I have 3 kids, and did whatever I could to learn all I could learn, and was like, I'm all in. And, in that short period of time, I've helped quite a bit of people join, made a really high, about 40 something K just sharing it on the commission side. Obviously the nodes are accumulating their digital rewards, and was just blown away by how much the company pays, how much support is there, how great support, like just talking to support, and then working with Billy. And I had the pleasure to meet Ryan, and then Ryan is on a different team. I've been working with Ryan, yes, we are Team Connect United. So it's not about who's on what team. And Ryan's like, hey, I got a Zoom. I jumped on his Zoom. Tony blew me away. So I was like, can you get Tony on? So I know Billy's going to speak. I don't know, kind of Tony and Billy might bounce off each other here. But so Ryan, I'll let you introduce yourself for a second and then introduce Tony. But thanks for being on tonight. I got this recorded and excited to hear all this information.
Hey, you bet, Brian. Welcome, everyone. Thanks again for taking some time here on a Thursday evening. I guess it could be a different day depending on if you're listening from another country. But my name's Ryan Lelf. I live in Tulsa, Oklahoma. I've been involved about the same amount of time as Brian has, maybe a few days. I think it was like March 11th or March 12th. A friend of mine named Brian Carruthers, who's kind of a legend in the networking space. He's done very, very well. He's been with one company for 26 years. He's made over $30 million. Him and I have just become acquaintances over the last few years, and just someone I have a lot of respect for. So when he reached out to me, I had been kind of on the sidelines from different entrepreneurial ventures for 5 or 6 months. I was just kind of doing my podcast and playing a lot of pickleball and taking care of my 4 kids, hanging out with my wife. And he said, look, man, I got to introduce you to this guy named Tony Swantek. And I said, okay. He said, it's in the crypto blockchain space. I know that's, an area you have a ton of interest in. You're always talking about it. And I said, yeah, sure. He said, look, Tony's one of the most successful people I know, a very, very high net worth. He's been, very successful in traditional business. He's built multiple companies, multiple brands of, $1 billion plus. And you got to hear this. And I said, great. So me and my oldest son, Addison, who's also really, really smart and into crypto and stuff, I had him jump on with me. We got to spend about 2 hours with Tony. He kind of went through everything, let us ask all of our questions. And I'll be honest, I'm not sure I really understood every single component of what he went over that day. It was the first time I'd ever been introduced to this idea of nodes. But I got off that call, and I know my son understood all of it. I mean, he understands all the terminology, layer 1, layer 2, web 3, he gets it. And so my son and I have definitely explored a lot of things over the last few years, and some of them have not turned out to be legit or real. And so I looked at my son, and my son just said, Dad, this is no joke. Like this is big time. This is legit. It's real. And you need to pay a lot of attention to that. So 2 days later, I booked flights for me and my wife. And within a week, we were in Puerto Rico spending 7 days, pretty much all day, every day at Tony's house, on Zooms with him, sharing meals together. He introduced me to the curator, the guy that's, kind of behind all of this, that's put in over $500 million of his own money, the guy that was behind Gala Games. And within a week, I went from just feeling excited to having enough knowledge to know that this was going to change my life and my family's life forever. And it got my wife introduced enough to it that she could sense the same thing. And so ever since, man, came home, and we've just kind of been doing everything we know to do to spread the word, to get people to learn about this, to put tools in their hands, and to just let them know that, hey, I know there's a lot of things out there, and I know a lot of people are hitting you up about different stuff, and I know maybe you've had some things not work out for you in the past, but if you can do something for me, if you can just be present and just try to let go of any other moment in your entire human life and just be here for this moment and listen to this man, Tony Swantek, explain to you why he got so involved heavily in the last 6 months, why he set aside some billion-dollar companies and brands and are letting his business partners and employees and everybody else kind of run those, and why he's putting in 10 and 12 and 15-hour days and the impact that we can make in the world because of where stuff's headed. So you guys are in for a great treat. Everybody that knows Tony that I ran into, funny thing is, I'd actually met Tony a year ago through pickleball, and we had forgotten about that. And then when we got reintroduced, we remembered. Everybody in the pickleball community that I know that knows Tony says, man, always been a person of integrity. Everybody has great admiration for him, tremendous respect. He's got an unbelievable reputation and name here in the Wichita, Kansas area, which is about 2 hours from where I live. And so I'm betting on Tony. Tony's betting on himself. His track record speaks for that. And then when he kind of goes through the presentation and you get to see what it is that we're doing, the future is right now. So with that being said, I'm going to hand it over. Mr. Tony Swantek, thank you so much for being on tonight, and we're excited to hear from you.
Hey, buddy. Thanks for the kind introduction. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Wonderful,
sir.
wonderful. Awesome. Well, I will run through a quick overview. I don't want to take a ton of time because we do have a good friend of mine that is joining us as well. We got to spend a lot of time together in Kauai over the last week, and he's somebody that's been involved in this ecosystem and this project for several years. And I actually heard about this ecosystem back in 2017. And then I met with a buddy of mine, Tomas Perez, and he's been in the crypto space for quite a while, 9-figure money earner, did really well in cryptocurrency for sure. And he talked to me about this project called Gala Games. And I didn't know what it was really. I met with him. I met with this guy, Wright, and they were building this decentralized gaming platform, which didn't mean a lot to me. I had been involved in crypto, but just more buying crypto. Like I just bought Bitcoin and bought Ethereum, and I did pretty well buying crypto, I guess. I started buying Bitcoin at maybe $210 a coin. And I just thought it was a good idea. I thought it was undervalued, and I've never sold it. I kept buying it. The last big purchase I did one at 40,000 a coin, and I did another one at 69,000 a coin. And I've been buying and just holding it, and hopefully it keeps going up, over the next few years. But with this Gala project, he was like, it's this decentralized gaming platform. And he goes, you need to buy these nodes. And I remember asking him, I was like, what's a node? And he's like, it's like you're renting like your computer power, you're leasing it to this company so it can run its business. And I go, what do they pay? And he goes, well, they pay you these Gala tokens. And this was 2018. This is a while ago. And I go, well, what is a Gala token worth? And at that time he said, nothing, and I go, well, this sounds amazing. So you're going to borrow my computer power and pay me in magic internet money that's not worth anything. I was like, where do I sign up? And he goes, yeah, but he goes, listen, if a bunch of people start playing the games, then that token will be very valuable. And I was like, okay, I was interested. And so I was going to buy, at that time, I was just going to put 10 grand into these nodes, like this node software. And I was supposed to call him back in a few weeks. And I honestly got busy. I think back to what I was doing at that time. I had a restaurant delivery service, kind of like Uber Eats or DoorDash, but we were an Inc. 500 company in 2020, but we had actually exited a third of that business back in 2018. And it was multi-millions of dollars. It was a really good exit. And we were finalizing that. And then we were working on a merger for the other 2/3 of that company with a company called delivery.com. And that was a multi-million-dollar deal. And so I was busy with that. And I honestly just forgot to call him back. And I fast forward about a year and a half, he had made another 100, 200 million off the Gala project, something like that. And I'm like, how could I be that busy that I couldn't make a 10-minute phone call to my buddy and buy those nodes? And I asked him, it's funny because I went back and I was like, well, like, how much Gala tokens would I have gotten if I'd have had those nodes, and what would that have been worth? We kind of did the math, and he goes, depending on when you would have sold, he's like, somewhere probably between $5 and $10 million is what you could have been looking at. I was like, oh, I'm an idiot, like I should have made the phone call, and so that's one of those things. But I think we've all been there, right? We've been at the right place at the right time, but just didn't put it together. Like, didn't know we were there, didn't take action, whatever it might be, and I missed. And so October of last year, he called me, and we own other businesses together. We have a software company out of Dubai, so we talk quite a bit. But he said, hey, the guys that started the Gala ecosystem, he's like, they've got these like 12 new projects they're getting ready to launch to the world. Some of them they've been working on for a few years, some of them are brand new. And I was like, all right, where do I need to see it? Like, where do we need to go? And I was going to be in Vegas, and he goes, listen, we'll come to Vegas and we'll share this information. And I want to share this information with you guys. And like I said, I'm going to keep it pretty short and sweet. And you can connect with whoever invited you onto tonight's webinar to get more of the details. I'm still admitting people as they're coming in as well. But you can get more of the details from whoever shared this information with you. So can you guys see my screen okay? Thumbs up, Brian, Ryan, you guys see the screen? Perfect. All right, so I'm going to share a quick slideshow. I don't want to get too in depth because, like I said, I want to hear from Billy myself as well. He's a good friend of mine. I do know his story, but I want you guys to know his story as well because it's pretty amazing. But this ecosystem, when I first looked at it, obviously Gala was a part of their ecosystem, and they're launching these new projects. And really what they've done is they've created what we call proof of action protocols that tie to real world revenue and solve real world problems, which is something that is not really happening in the blockchain space right now. And if you're new to blockchain, the easiest way for me to explain it is if you look at the internet as in a simplified form, it's a way to transfer information freely between individuals, real time, without needing to wait on a third party. I remember growing up, like if I wanted to know, I'm getting ready, I fly to Palm Beach. We have an event in Palm Beach, which you're all invited. We'll send you maybe in the chat or something, the information. It's in Palm Beach, Florida on Saturday. And I fly out tomorrow, and I have no idea what the weather is out there. It could be Florida, it rains a lot, could be really hot and humid. I don't know, but I'm going to look on my phone and find out probably, tonight sometime before I pack and figure out what I should pack, how should I dress? And I remember as a kid, like, you couldn't do that. Like you could get your local news to give you the weather for your local city, but finding out what it was doing in Florida, you could wait for the national weather and kind of get a little bit of an idea of the high and the low. But I can get the hourly. Like I'll know what is going to rain when I'm landing there or when I get out. Like I'll know the weather. You could tell me whether it's raining in Tokyo right now, right? Like the internet allows us to have access to that free flow of information. Blockchain allows the free flow of value to pass between individuals. Way more secure than centralized internet. I'm not going to get too in depth into that, but imagine if I wanted to work a business project with all of you, and we decided, hey, we're all going to put, $100 grand into this project each. If I needed to wire your bank account money right now, if I said, all right, I'm gonna send some money to Ryan, I can't do it. Like my bank's closed. It's nighttime here. I know I saw some of the names I recognize. I know there's Australians here. Your banks are probably just getting ready to open. But for me, my bank's closed, not going to open till tomorrow. I would need to get Ryan's bank information, his routing number and account number. And then tomorrow morning, I could go to the bank and initiate the wire. And then, if it's international wire, it might be a few more days before it hits. They're going to charge me $60, whatever. If it was Bitcoin and Ryan said, hey, just send me Bitcoin instead, I could do that right now. While we're on the meeting, I could literally send him 100 grand worth of Bitcoin, and it would be, the transaction be done in a few minutes. And it might cost $1. You know what I mean? Like I've done I've done a 7-figure transaction that cost me like $1.49 or something like that in transaction fees. And it's just way more efficient. And that's the beauty of blockchain. It's the fastest adopted technology in history of planet Earth. And even Elon Musk says it's a far better way to transfer values than just a piece of paper. And as I go through our project, if you go, listen, this is something I'm really interested in, you can become a node owner like I did, like Brian did, like Ryan did, like Billy did, Danny. I've seen a few other folks that I know are node owners. And you could also help others come into the network and purchase nodes as well. That helps the blockchain work. It helps us run our network. And the best analogy I've heard of what is a node, think about a cell phone tower. If you look at like a farm, you know, they've got land where there's towers built on them. The companies that like Verizon and AT&T, they don't buy the entire farm and build a cell tower. They lease a little parcel of land, and then every month they build that tower. Every month they pay that farmer for saying, hey, thanks for letting us host our network on your land. And here's money. Here's money. What we do is we basically say, if you purchase this software, you can load it onto your laptop. You can load it onto a hard drive. I host mine in the cloud. There's companies that basically will just host the software for you. And as long as it's working and turned on for at least 6 hours a day, they send you rewards for basically letting them run their network on your computing power. And if you wanted to buy nodes, I'm not going to go through the whole disclaimer. I'm going to simplify it. There's no guarantees, right? Like I could have bought those Gala nodes in 2018, and if nobody ever played those games, they'd be worth, like the tokens they printed would be worthless. There'd be no value to them. I couldn't sell them because nobody would want to buy them. That didn't happen with Gala. I saw the other day, like it was a few days ago, the daily volume in trading for Gala was $427 million that day. So it's like if I would have had $5 million worth of Gala tokens, I could sell them that day. Like there was $427 million worth of them flying, you know, like it would have been a pretty easy thing to exit. It's a very liquid token. And the cool thing, well, I guess not as cool for me, but for guys like Billy that had Gala tokens years and years ago, their Gala nodes that were printing tokens 5 years ago are still printing Gala tokens today as we're talking. And so it's just creating that magic internet money, so to speak. Now, at the end of the day, are there projects that maybe won't have value? Sure. Are there projects that may be bigger than Gala? I believe so. But there's no guarantees. There's no promises. So I always tell folks, if you put money into nodes, and I've put a lot of my money into nodes, I've personally invested over $54 million into purchasing nodes. And there's a lot of reasons behind that, but I'm very bullish on these projects. But as I say that, I do want people to understand like that. I didn't sell any of my real estate. I didn't sell any of my oil wells. I didn't sell any of my businesses or companies. I still have a very diversified portfolio. I didn't sell any stocks. I had oil well exploration money that I used to kind of do drilling, which is very high risk. I took all the money out of that to get into nodes. And then I had cash sitting in US treasuries that was just sitting there. And I wasn't using it. I wasn't going to use it. And I took a pretty good chunk. I think I had maybe 27 million or something in US treasuries that were just sitting there and I didn't need it. And I say that to let you know, like if you purchase nodes, don't take out a second mortgage to do it. I think that would be absolutely bonkers. This is Vegas money, right? Like the difference is if I strike oil on one of my oil exploration projects, you know, you're looking to get 5, 10x on your money. It's great. Gala was like 500x or 1,000x for some people. So the upside is absolutely amazing, but the downside is zero. So you need to understand that going into this game. Now, we do have a legal team that's decentralized Blockade. They are our decentralized law firm. They're basically making sure that we're following the rules, crossing the T's, dotting the I's. Ken Cuccinelli is the lead advisor. He was the former attorney general for the state of Virginia. He was the Deputy Secretary of Homeland Security for the United States of America for several years. And so having somebody like that and our team making sure we're coloring inside the lines, very few projects in the blockchain space have a firepower legal team like we do to make sure we're doing things the right way. The projects are what really got me excited. The first project, I got to meet with Dr. Adam Sharp. He was pretty high up over at Kaiser Permanente out in California. But he shared with me the Galvin project, which was basically allowing us as individuals to take control over our own health and wellness. Imagine having an app you could download. You could attach a wearable to it. It will listen to your voice. It uses Amazon Alexa AI technology, and it will basically look at over 2,500 voice inflections, and it can tell you whether you're higher energy than normal or lower energy, whether you're higher stressed or lower stressed, just by talking to it for 20 seconds. And once it tells you, hey, you're a little low energy today, it'll give you things to do to increase your energy level. And if you do it, it will reward you in Gala tokens. It'll reward you for getting healthier. And then if you load your health data onto the blockchain, which imagine putting your health records on the blockchain, imagine putting your DNA on the blockchain, and you're the only one that has access to it. You can give a hospital access to it, a doctor access, but if you leave that hospital, you could pull your records away from them and say, hey, I don't want you having access. I'm going to send it to my new doctor. And that's the person that's going to have access to my health records. Imagine your DNA records. And if you wanted to, you don't have to, but you could share them anonymously with the community. They use AI to aggregate everybody's health data, which, we've got whatever, a couple hundred people on 194 right now on the overview. That's if we all put our health data on there and shared it anonymously, no big deal. Like, not that exciting. Now, Galvin would give us tokens for sharing. They would literally pay us to share our health data. But what if we had millions of users? What if we had 100 million users? What if we had 1 billion users? At that user count, you would eliminate rare disease from the planet. Like if your neighbor had a daughter with a rare disease and we had 100 million users on Galvin that all agreed to share their data and let AI congregate and aggregate that data, because that's impossible right now. All the health records are so fractured, you can't get all that data together. But if we did that and AI analyze it, you would tell that neighbor's daughter, hey, just download the app, load your health records, load your DNA records, and then within a nanosecond, the AI would analyze everything, and it would probably come back and go, you know what, this isn't that rare of a disease. There's 3,822 people in our database that have the exact same symptoms, the exact same diagnosis. And actually, these 723 individuals across 3 different continents used this treatment procedure to great success. AI is recommending that you get with your current physician, let them know this information, share this data with them, and see if they'd be open to starting the treatment procedure that all these other people have used to find success. So that's the goal, really, is to create a community where we control our own health and wellness. Grow is another one of my favorite projects. There's 7 farms that are already a part of Grow. The largest regenerative farm in the United States of America, Royal Ranch out of Washington State, is one of our larger partners. But I have a local farm. I'm in Kansas right now, but I live in Puerto Rico. And my house in Puerto Rico is 7 minutes away from one of the local Grow farms there in Dorado, Puerto Rico. And what Grow is all about is giving us as consumers the power to understand what we're eating, to know what we're putting in our body. And as crazy as that sounds, when you really think about it, there's really about 10 companies that kind of control about everything we eat and put in our bodies on a daily basis. And a lot of these companies fall under conglomerates like Cargill, Monsanto. But if you think of Kellogg's, Mondelez, which was Kraft, General Mills, Unilever, if you're in, South America, they add, I would say, a lot more chemicals than real nutrition to our foods. And who knows what was put into it, where it came from, how it was processed. What Grow does, it allows us to know all of that. Imagine ordering a steak at a restaurant, getting a QR code that comes with the steak. You download the app, you snap a picture of the QR code, and it comes up and it says, hey, Brian, This is, because it's your app, it would know who you are. It would say, hey, Brian, this is cattle number 1176459 from Royal Ranch Farms in Washington State, certified organic free range Angus, never been injected with hormones, never been injected with any steroids. This cow grazed on 1,167.5 pounds of grass during its lifetime. It was processed right here at Royal Ranch 47 hours ago. It's never been frozen. We refrigerated it, shipped it refrigerated, and now 47 hours later, it's there for you to enjoy. And if you like that steak, you could actually order it direct from Royal Ranch. And it would be cheaper than going to the grocery store. And the farmers would actually make more profits because they could cut out the commodities market. They could cut out Monsanto, Cargill, Kraft, all these huge conglomerates that peel off a bunch of their profits. So it's a win-win for the consumer and for the farmer, and giving us the power to know what we're eating. Fruits, vegetables. The Grow farm, I have Grow nodes, so I help them run their network, and I get Grow tokens for doing that. I can go to the Grow farm. They have a grocery store set up there. I can buy eggs, bacon, milk, fruits, vegetables, steak, chicken, pork, like everything that they source there and raise there at that farm, and I can check out with my token. You can pay with a credit card if you want, but literally, I just use my tokens. So I can use cryptocurrency to feed my family. That's real world utility. That's not something you can do easily with Bitcoin. Like grocery stores don't take Bitcoin. You know, restaurants don't take Bitcoin. We have farmers that you can use your token and order food directly and feed your family. That's a game changer in the blockchain space. We have Element. Scott Lomu is a friend of mine. That's really a blockchain that's designed around letting consumers know that the minerals that they're buying, the gold, the jewelry, the smartphones with, you know, the battery, the lithium batteries, that everything we're buying, if it was a rare earth mineral, it was mined ethically. And then when that mine was depleted, they came in behind it to reclaim the land. They planted mangrove trees. They backfilled it with farmable soil. And so many people don't realize, like, I can almost guarantee if you have one of these, there's some component in it that a child mined for it. I'd almost guarantee it, that someone that was probably 11 years old dug up something out of the earth that's in one of your smartphones, all of us. Now, if we had a choice, if there was a blockchain certificate that you bought lithium, and if you did, if it had that certificate, you know that that mine was open to a 24/7, 365-day-a-year audit. At any time, they could be audited to make sure that only adults were mining. No one was mining under duress. No one was sitting there digging at gunpoint. And you could make sure that each mine that was depleted by that company, they came in behind it and reclaimed the land. I think if we all could choose to make sure that no children mined the components of our smartphones, we would choose to get the adult mined smartphones. You know, I think it's a no-brainer, and that's what Element's allowing us to do. This is one of the main reasons I got involved in the project with Switch. Not necessarily because of the wallet itself, which it was the best cryptocurrency wallet on the planet. They let me get in on the beta, and I was shocked. Like, I literally used my credit card to buy Bitcoin that day, right then and there. And I moved the Bitcoin into a cold wallet, and it took me 5 minutes. From the time I was starting to set up my account to the time I moved Bitcoin into my own wallet, 5 minutes later, done. That might not sound like a big deal to you if you're not in the crypto space. What I would challenge you to do is buy $1,000 worth of Bitcoin on Coinbase right now, and then move it to a different wallet. I'd imagine it's going to be about 3 weeks before you can do that. It's just not very easy to get access to crypto. Switch fixes that problem. And it's a non-custodial wallet. If they went out of business tomorrow, I'd still have all my crypto that I put into that wallet. I could just grab a cold wallet, recover it, and get all my crypto back. Then they have a Switch Visa card. Actually, I have it in my room, my wallet. I should bring my wallet to these meetings so I can pull it out. But I have a Visa card through Switch that if I want to put that Bitcoin in a custodial wallet, I can set it up to use Bitcoin. So if I went to a restaurant and swiped my card for $100, it would sell $100 worth of Bitcoin and pay off that debit card right then and there. It would allow someone like my mom to use Bitcoin, which she has Bitcoin because I've been buying it for a long time, and I usually give Bitcoin away for Christmas for my family and stuff. And so among some other gifts, but I do usually give some cryptocurrency. And so she's had it. But if you said, hey, you know, your mom needs to send me some Bitcoin for a project we're working on, she could send you, like, you could send her your wallet to her. She'll never be able to send you Bitcoin. Like, unless I'm sitting beside her, she's not going to figure it out. But if you said, hey, just give me your Visa card number, she knows how to use your credit card. So that's what I love about Switch. It's an easy on-ramp and off-ramp to bring people in that have never dealt with crypto before, have no idea how to set up wallets or any of that stuff, and they can literally use cryptocurrency not knowing anything about cryptocurrency. And the lady that was the CEO, when I first saw her walk into the room, I remember I looked at my buddy who was there, and I own a credit card processing company that's pretty good size. We do about $4 to $5 billion a year in transactions. And I just told him, I was like, hey, I was like, whatever she's doing, we need to pay real close attention, and we should probably be doing it. And he was like, who is that? And I was like, it's Kathy Roberts. I was like, she is one of the founders of Discover Card, and she was the president of Discover Bank. I knew her because of my credit card transactions background. She didn't know me. I mean, I was just a peon, but I knew who she was. And I just said, man, listen, when it comes to banking, there's nobody better. Like, there's nobody better on the planet. And she has created because of her network and her knowledge, she's created the best crypto wallet on planet Earth. And it is not even close. She's just built a better mousetrap. And we can be a part of what she's doing, and we can benefit financially because of it. Rev is our car blockchain. Revo Rideshare is one of the first projects that are on that blockchain. And what I love about Rev is it's already operational. I think so many crypto projects over the years, I know I talked to Ryan about this, but it's like you have so many people that it's like, oh, we've got this ICO, this new token, and we've got this idea, and they're working out of their mom's basement, you know, and the idea never comes out to fruition. And maybe they never planned on bringing it to fruition. Maybe they just wanted to sell tokens and make money. We don't have an ICO. The only way tokens are generated is if you have a node or if you're a proof of action rewards recipient. If you have a node that's running the network, you get tokens. In Rev, if you're a driver or a rider, you get tokens. And we're already operational in Miami, Palm Beach, Jupiter, Florida, New Orleans, and more cities are getting ready to launch. And what's great is our average rider is paying about 10 to 20% less than the exact same ride on Uber or Lyft. The drivers on average are making 30 to 40% more than the exact same ride that they'd be driving on Uber and Lyft. And so imagine I pick you up. Let's say I'm one of the drivers for Rev and you need a ride. You book it and it says, hey, it's $50, long ride going to the airport. With Uber, it'd be 60 or 70 with Lyft. So it's $50. But if you use the Rev token, it's only 45. So you can save $5. Well, who wouldn't want to save $5? And what's cool is with one click, because of Switch, you can click and buy the Rev token, use a credit card. Now you just save money on your ride. Then you get in the car, because that's a revenue generating activity, you get more tokens. When I pick you up as the driver, I get real money, like Web 2 money, like dollars. You know, I'm going to get money in my bank account, but I also get tokens, Rev tokens, because I picked you up. That's a revenue generating activity. When I'm dropping you off, if you give me a tip, they give you more tokens, because we want to incentivize the people to tip good drivers. If you give me a tip, I get more tokens because I must have done a good job driving or you wouldn't have tipped me. Then if you give me a rating, you get more tokens. We want to incentivize you to give a rating to the driver. If you give me a 5-star rating, I get more tokens. If I give you a rating as a rider, I get tokens. If I give you 5 stars, you get more tokens. Now, again, not a lot of value to the tokens. Brand new project. Not many people riding yet. We're only in 4 cities. But what happens if 6 months from now, we're in 400 cities around? What if we have millions of people riding and driving? Now those tokens, as cool as Gala is and playing games on your phone, and I can buy a cow from you and then sell my dragon to somebody else from a different game. And obviously it worked. It's huge. There's a ton of money there. But I think it's cooler, instead of buying a cow on a game, to actually buy a steak that I can feed my family. I think it's better than, you know, buying a car on a game, to actually call and get a ride, to use my app and get a real ride in the real world to where I need to go. That's a better use case and real world utility for blockchain than anything I've ever seen. And so you can benefit as the network grows. And if you have a node that's helping to manage that network, hey, your node could be going, hey, Tony's here, he's a driver, he has an SUV, here's a rider, they're requesting an SUV. There's 10 other SUV drivers near, but Tony's the closest. Let's see if he'll accept that ride. And I do accept it. And then that node will put us together and log everything on the blockchain. What if you referred me as a driver? You make real Web 2 money. Let's say you're making $1 every ride I do. Not that big of a deal, but the average driver will do 20 rides in a night. You make 20 bucks. You got 10 drivers, making a couple $100 just because you referred drivers into our network that are doing a bunch of rides. On top of that, you'll be getting the crypto token. You'll be getting Rev token over and over and over again as I'm doing rides. So there's value to help us grow the community. Rally is the last project I'll share, and then I'll wrap up. Rally is our video conferencing software. It'll be like Zoom. This should be one of the last Zooms we do. Actually, May 1st is our launch date for Rally. But imagine being able to get rewarded for doing meetings like this. Imagine getting rewarded for sharing your other business or your other company or this business with people, and you're getting crypto tokens. You're getting Rally tokens for sharing this ecosystem with people. And again, not that many users probably on May 1, but maybe by the end of May, we got a lot of users. Maybe by June, July, August, got hundreds of thousands of users. Maybe we end up with millions of users. That token could be extremely, extremely valuable. And what's cool is if I was doing meetings on Rally and generating tokens, and I shared Rally's software with others and they downloaded it, and there's a free instance you can use. But if you want to pay for it because you want to do more than 45-minute long meetings, or you want to be able to show, bells and whistles that we have, you can pay, and it's cheaper than Zoom. The Zoom would be the same price if you paid for Zoom the whole year up front. But if you do month to month, we're cheaper. You'd have to pay the whole year up front for Zoom to match our price for month to month. So it's cheaper. It's better because it rewards you. And if you're not familiar with blockchain, if you're not familiar with how the concept could work, what I would tell you is this. Think of it like airline miles or Amex points. Like, it creates loyalty to the customer. And I use my Amex as much as I can because I get points, and then I use them to buy stuff on Amazon. Actually, I connected my deal with Amazon. And so we want to give people rewards for using our ecosystem. Anyone that says, hey, this sounds really good, what's my next step? Whoever invited you onto tonight's webinar, have them send you a link, sign up for free. I say sign up for free, start going through the compliance training, go through the academy, start to learn about the different projects. And then if you're interested in getting more involved, you can grab some nodes. You can say, hey, I want to help your network run. Let me buy some nodes. And again, each person's different. Some people go, I just want to buy one node. Maybe you don't want to buy any nodes. That's fine. You can refer 5 people who buy a Win node, and the algorithm will give you 1 free Win node. So you can get a node for free just by sharing the ecosystem with others. But I was not like that. I bought millions of dollars worth of nodes because I was just like, hey, I've seen this game it's played out before. I missed it last time. They won the Super Bowl, and I was drafted to be on the team, and I held out. I just decided not to play that year, which was a dumb move. Now I'm looking at the projects they have today. With Gala, there was like 7 developers. I flew out to Utah. They had 20,000+ square foot of office building, 200+ developers there working. And I was just like, man, they're way better now than they were when I first saw them back in 2017, 2018. I just wanted to become a part of the ecosystem. And the other thing that I loved about these projects is I knew I could move the needle. I knew I could help add customers to the meeting software. I could help add riders and drivers to the rideshare software. I could help add farmers into the Grow network. I could help add doctors into the Galvin Health and Wellness network. I knew I could help these projects move forward, which would help me with my token values. The more people that used it, the more real world utility there was, the more value for that token. I would tell you to figure out what projects you like the most, and those are the nodes you're going to want to purchase. You'd want to go, okay, I know I do a ton of meetings and I know a ton of people that do meetings. Great. Grab some rally tokens. Hey, I take Uber every day almost. All right, great. Look at the Rev project and start to help build that. Hey, I'm healthy. I'm health conscious. I watch what I eat. I think more people want to know what they're putting in their bodies. Great. Help support the Grow project. Get Grow nodes. And if you're healthy, grab a Galvin node while you're at it. So each project can kind of, satisfy each person's desire to succeed. The question is, which one really hits you? And for me, there were a few of them. And the Switch project was one I was really interested in. There was a bunch of projects, but at the end of the day, I look at each project and I think, which one can I impact the most? That's the one I want to come into. So that's really the nuts and bolts, guys. I don't want to go too much more in depth. I do want to turn this over to a very good friend of mine, and he's somebody that's really a pioneer. It's, I don't want to, not to put myself down as far as vision's concerned, but he had way more vision than I did when he first looked at the Gala project. He saw where it could go. And honestly, probably in his mind, he saw where it would go. And he knew he could help build that community and make it go that way. And so he had confidence in himself and confidence in the project. I didn't catch that vision. And so I always try and surround myself with true visionaries. It's one thing I live on a golf course when I'm in Kansas. It's called Flint Hills National. You should Google it sometime. It's one of the nicest golf courses in the world. They did the junior amateur here, the U.S. women's amateur here, but they stopped doing tournaments here. It's a private club. And so it went down in the rankings. It was like number 15 or 17 in the rankings in Golf Digest. But when they stopped doing tournaments, it's like number 75 now or something. And why I say that is, if you walk outside my backyard, you can't see the golf course. It's all trees, it's all forest. But if you weave through those trees, I'm on the 5th fairway. Now, if you play that course, you can't see any houses. Not one hole. There's houses all over this community. They're right on the golf course, but they built like trees and forests. They brought in like 20-some thousand trees, and anywhere on the golf course you can't see any homes. And now, if you played that course and you see my backyard, it's easy to visualize. It's there. You can step on the first tee box and go, oh, this is great. This is amazing. It's one of the most beautiful courses in the world, and it's in the middle of Kansas. Like, who'd have thought? But 25 years ago, there was a guy, Tom Devlin. He owned a company called Rent-A-Center. He's worth a couple $2 billion. And he bought just acres and acres of raw land here in Kansas. And somewhere in his brain, and he got with a golf course architect, and they looked at all this just land, just this dirt and hills and some trees. And they said, listen, here's where the first tee box is going to be. Here's where that first fairway is going to run. Here's where green number 1 is. Here's where the second tee box is going to be. Here's where we'll build the clubhouse. It wasn't there, though. It was just raw land. I can tell you right now, I wouldn't be able to visualize it. My brain doesn't work like that. I wouldn't be able to see it. As much as they tried to tell me, as much as they did, I can probably tell you that somebody like Billy would see it. He would see it, and he probably would have bought land, and I would have ended up, the land I live on, I probably would have had to buy it from Billy because he has that vision. So I want him to share where he saw the projects back when he first kind of took a look, because a lot of us are there. I was there in October, really taking a look kind of like he did 5 years prior or so. And I want him to share with us kind of how he caught that vision all those years ago. And I'd love for him to share where he sees us heading over the next 5 years, because I think it's extremely exciting. So I want to introduce one of my good friends and a true visionary in these projects, Mr. Billy Womack.
Well, thank you, Tony. Guys, what about that presentation that Tony gave? I got to spend a week with Tony this last weekend in Kauai with him and his wife, and we got to be there with a ton of other leaders around the world, and all these CEO brands were there. Our core team, not corporate, but core team that really were the visionaries like Tony had mentioned. And it was just a blessing to get to spend quality time with people that all have the right vision in place. And when you're around greatness like that, you don't hear people talking about themselves. You always hear them talking about where the company is going, what they look forward to. And Tony is a perfect example of that. We are delighted to have someone like Tony with us because Tony in his right mind, Tony doesn't need to do this. Tony has got plenty of billion-dollar brands that Tony spent years building. He doesn't need what we have. Tony has joined us because he saw the vision, he saw the passion, he saw that it can impact lives. And guys, that's really why we're here. And if you look at our slogan, it's blockchain with a purpose. That's why we're here. If you follow the most successful people out there are the people that solve problems. If you follow the most successful people out there, they're not talking about money. They're not talking about possessions. They're like, how do we make an impact in life? And what do we do to change the world? And that's the core group that we have around us. And that, I think, is why we are so successful, is we focus on solving problems. And those that solve the biggest problems are the people that end up in the front of the line. So Tony, I want to thank you so much just for the presentation, being on here, the introduction, but also just for joining us. And like Tony said, very modestly, Tony brings so much to this platform. It's ridiculous. Like he said, I've been here from day one, been with Wright for 7 years, but what Tony's been able to do in the last 6 months. Tony, I don't know if you remember this, but that very first meeting you had here in Vegas, I was in the room with you. I was right across.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah. So I sat right across from you. I literally walked. I live right here on Vegas Strip. I walked over to the Aria where we met at the Waldorf, and Tony was there. And I was like, who is this guy? Because I heard all the buzz. Man, we got this guy coming in, and he's got this kind of company. He's got that kind of company. I'm like, who the heck is this guy? And when he comes in, he's just really just mellow, just kind of cool, calm, collective. Like, who's this cat? And he's just a really humble, awesome guy, very articulate. Matter of fact, Tony's been here probably 5 years less than me, and he gives a better presentation to me. He's just that good. I've never been a true presenter, but what I am is an action taker like Tony, and hopefully like a lot of you guys on this call, because if you're around people that are making change in the world, you want to attach yourself to them. You know, I'm 50 years old. I learned a long time ago, if somebody has what you want and you're inspired by them, latch yourself, put yourself next to them and just hold on as tight as you can, because they're going to be running toward that goal. And if your vision's aligned the right way, you're going to end up on the other side. So I'm going to give you a little quick background about me. Tony wanted me to share a little bit about that. And for those that don't know my story, my name is Billy Womack. I'm from Tampa, Florida. I live here in Las Vegas, Nevada. I've been in crypto for about 8 years. I started making Bitcoin at $200. And this is actually the machine I use to make Bitcoin. I got this in Reykjavik, Iceland back in 2017, I believe. I started making Bitcoin at $204, Tony. So right there alongside you, right there. And we were the 5th largest mining operation in the world. Matter of fact, these little chips that you see on this miner right here have the computing power of 350 miners. So when I got involved, I was part of 2 rug pulls. A lot of you guys can relate to that. They weren't legitimate companies. I was trying to find my way into the space, and somebody's like, hey, we've got this great platform that's going to pay you 2% a day or whatever it was at that time. And I was just like, all right, how do I get involved? Let's get involved. And after that second rug pull, I was like, I'm done. And then I stopped and I was like, you know what? There's got to be, I see, and one of my buddies said, Billy, I want you to do me a favor. And I want to challenge every one of you guys to do this tonight before you go to bed. Go to your Google or Yahoo, whatever search engine you have. And I want you to type in blockchain.
He's over here.
What's that? Okay. Blockchain Walmart, blockchain FedEx, blockchain AT&T, blockchain Mercedes-Benz, blockchain, whatever company you can imagine. Now, most of you are probably saying, what is blockchain? How in the world does this work? And if every major corporation almost that you can imagine is using blockchain, yet nobody around you knows what blockchain is, That's what they call emerging market. That is exactly what emerging market is. So you need to dive in and really educate yourself. And that's what I love about the Connect community and what we offer in Connect United's back office is an education platform to really educate you. So when this gentleman said, listen, you really need to educate yourself. So I went back to social media and I posted on there, instead of saying, who do you know in Bitcoin? I said, who do you know in blockchain? Who do you know in the underlying technology? And one guy said, I got a guy for you. I'm like, all right, here we go again. And he goes, I got this guy. He's worth over $100 million. And I need to introduce you. I said, all right, great. Let's talk to this guy. And he begged me to have lunch with him. 3 days later, I was sitting in a restaurant in Tampa at International Plaza. And he got me on the phone with this guy. And sure enough, this guy was who he said he was. So I was very impressed. And at that particular time, I just lost a lot of money in my business. I'm sure some of you guys on this phone call can relate. I'm not an egotistical. I'm pretty humble about the way I tell my story. And the story is pretty simple. I was at a very dip in my life. I was almost flat broke. I was down to only a couple of $1,000s to my name. I'd done a lot of success before that. And I spoke on stage. I did all this stuff. I was just in a really bad spot at that time. And this individual got on the phone. He starts telling me I need to be in Reykjavik, Iceland to go check out this mining operation. And I was like, all right, this guy actually wants me to go and meet other people, unlike the rug pull. So I was starting to feel very comfortable about the scenario. I saw who he was. I was like, all right, I got to get there. And he goes, all right, so yeah, you need to come to Reykjavik, Iceland. I'm thinking in my head, wow, that trip sounds pretty expensive for somebody that right now it's at a very dark place in their life. I think I only had like less than $5,000 to my name. And so he goes, yeah, I said, what's a trip like that cost? And he said 10 or 15 grand. I was like, oh, great. I'm thinking to myself, shoot. I'm like, all right, how am I going to pull this off? So I'm like, all right. I said, tell you what, now listen, this is where you separate yourself as an innovator and somebody like Tony that really just, if you know that you've got to be in the room. And Tony and I were in, and Danny and his wife, Lori, and a couple others were in this. And I've always heard John C. Maxwell talk about, you've got to be in the room. If you get yourself in the room, the rest will take care of itself. So this guy was like, you got to get to Reykjavik, Iceland. I was like, geez, all right, how am I going to do that? So I asked him, I said, tell you what, why don't you give me a quota to hit? And if I hit that quota in the next 3 days, you take care of my trip. He said, that's funny. I didn't know I offered that. I said, well, you're going to want to meet me. I promise you. And he goes, yeah, if I had a nickel every time somebody said that. I said, listen, throw something ridiculous out there. If I hit it, then the quota I hit will obviously take care of it. No big deal. No loss. And if I don't, you'll never see me again. He said, all right, hot shot. He said, I want you to go sell $50,000 of these S5 miners. Mind you, I had never heard of a miner, didn't know what a miner was, never seen a miner before, and I had no clue what a miner was. And so I said, all right, so tell me a little bit about the miner. How's it work? He goes, nice talking to you. Goodbye. Click. And that was it. I was like, what in the world? He goes, talk to the guy next to you. I'm out. And I'm like, what a dick. And so I was like, all right, I've got to figure this out, though. I've got to be in Iceland, no matter what. And I was frantically, and he goes, I said, tell me just enough about this. He gave me like a 30-minute spill. 3 days later, 72 hours later, I called the guy back. And the guy said, he goes, yeah, hello. I said, hey, you need my flight information? He goes, no, I need you to go sell. I said, yeah, I did that. He said, you sold $50,000 of a machine. You don't even know what it is. In the last 72 hours, I said, no, I sold $350,000 of one of these. He said, what? You're full of, I think I see my mom on the Zoom, so I can't say that word. So, hi, Mom. And so my mom also owns nodes, by the way. Everyone in my family owns nodes. So I said, listen, pull up your back office. Sure enough, he pulled up his back office. He saw that I'd made the $350,000 in sales literally in 72 hours. He said, give me your flight information. I flew to Reykjavik, Iceland. I met about 350 other miners, entrepreneurs, and this Tomas guy. First time I'd met Tomas, so I had to say it like that. Tomas was there, superhuman. He's now become one of my best buddies. Tomas was there, and a couple other big builders all over the world were there. And I was like, wow, I couldn't sleep literally because I found myself probably where you guys are seeing yourself right now. You're in something very, very special, whether it hits you or not. And I tell everybody, the day that this company actually gets in you and you understand how big it is, you're not going to be able to sleep. You are literally going to be up for days saying, this is too good to be true. And I tell people all the time when they tell me that, they're like, it just sounds too good to be true. I said, so it's God's salvation. But here we are. So I said, either you can take your toe and dip your toe in it and run with it, or you can sit back. I said, I know I'm not letting go of this. You have to beat me to death, get away from this group. And sure enough, luckily for me, Bitcoin was at $200. We started working that company. A year later, I remember telling everybody, man, if Bitcoin ever gets to $10,000, we're going to be rich. And sure enough, you guys know the story. It went well past that. It went to 20,000. It dipped down to 10,000, or excuse me, 3,000. The electric bill was really high. That guy introduced me to his mentor, the guy I've been with now for 7 years. And I flew back and forth to Utah multiple times. And we were just talking. He was trying to tell me about this vision of what we were going to build here at Connect. I was like, I get it, but I'm used to hardware miners. This is software miners. I'm trying to get my head wrapped around it. He goes, Billy, he goes, I like you. And if you're looking for a home, I'm looking for key people. Let's lock arms. And for someone that's worth that kind of money, ask you to lock arms with them. I learned a long time ago, if you don't know a play in a playbook, you just say, yes, coach, put me in, you learn as you go. And that's kind of what I did there. I didn't understand everything about software nodes, but I knew this was the type of individual that he married his high school sweetheart. He's got 6 or 7 beautiful kids. I know most of them, just amazing family who you see him walking down the road. He wears a Superman shirt almost everywhere he goes. You wouldn't know he has a nickel to rub. That is just a really wholesome guy. And he's always thinking about family first. And I was like, man, I want to work with this guy. So I went back to Tampa and I was there for a couple months. We went back and forth to Utah about 5 or 6 times over the next 6 months. I started learning more about the software nodes, learning it's just like the hardware. It's just, except for it's just done in the cloud. And I said, let's do this. So he calls me 90 days later. We met here in Vegas, where I live now. Said, I've got a lot of entrepreneurs coming into town, and we're really going to launch this gaming platform, the one you've been on all these Zooms with called Gala. Actually, it wasn't even called Gala at the time. It was called Arcade. There's a trivia question for somebody that ever wants to know. What was Gala before it was Gala? It was called Arcade. So I came back to Vegas, and I sit in this house with about 20 entrepreneurs. Guess who was there? Tomas again. I was like, this guy's all over the place, but he's always there before me. So this is the guy now I'm gonna start locking arms with all the time. And so I get here to the house and they bring in all these gamers, and I'm like, I'm not a big gamer. The last game I played was Donkey Kong or Tetris, but I believe in this guy. I'm just going to buy a few of these nodes because I'm going to wait and buy my big purchase on Switch and the banking solution. So I said, let me just buy some of these. I made some good money on the last project. So I bought $15,000 worth of these nodes there at that time. And I bought them, got them online, and I went back to Tampa. I'm calling all my friends. I'm excited about these software nodes. Everybody's like, they're only $1,000. I don't know if it's a gaming thing. I'm not sure if it's going to work. And everybody told me no, except for one person. One. Out of all my friends, one person told me yes. Everybody else, I'm like, all right, you know what? Maybe we'll just wait on the next project. So I'm like, all right, let me get them online. I moved out to Vegas. COVID hit 90 days later. I flew to Mexico. I started manufacturing COVID gowns, shipping them across. Wright's calling me all the time. Billy, what are you doing? We're getting ready to launch this thing, man. I need you by my side. And I was like, man, I'm coming. I'm just making a lot of money, almost a couple $100,000 a month doing these medical gowns. And so finally he said, hey, look in your back office and tell me what you see. And I'm like, I don't even know how to log in. I literally didn't know how to log in my back office because we were Arcade when I signed up, and then we were Gala. So I got on, and I'm going to get to something really cool to show you guys here in a second. And I log in and I had millions and millions of Gala. I'm like Tony said, maybe they're worth something, maybe they're not. You just never know until that project launches. So I log in and I'm going to show you guys real quick a little of this so you guys kind of see with your own eyes. So this is Gala Games. This is my actual account right here with Gala. Boom, boom. And it's a gaming platform. These are the same guys that created Farmville, Zynga Poker, Words with Friends, Mafia Wars, Farmville 1, 2, and 3. These are the same guys that created it, and they were building this out. Of course, we only had one game at the time. So I bought these 11 software nodes right here. Boom, I have 11 nodes. But what's really cool is I want to show you guys, I bought those nodes for $1,000 each. They minted me about over the course of 2 years. It took 2 years to build the company out, and then it started hitting exchanges. So everybody, when they come on board with us, they're like, how long is it going to take for me to get an ROI? Tony said it best. We don't know. We don't know if it'll ever be worth something. We hope if we build the company big enough, we believe that because of our experience, because of the team that's driving the force, and because of the solutions or the problems or the solutions we're fixing in the environment, we believe these things are going to do really well, and it's worth the risk to reward factor for us. So I bought these nodes, they accumulated all these rewards, and I want to kind of show you guys. When he called me, he said, hey, look in your back office and see how many you had. I think I had like 16 million of them at the time. And I said, are they worth anything? He said, they're about 3 or 4 cents right now. I was like, oh, all right, not too bad. But I expected it to be a wash, no problem. But I believed in him, so I kept them on. And I said, listen, I'm getting ready to wind this down so I can come back and really kind of push this out for you guys. So I came back to him. We started really pushing Gala again. And at $6,000, $8,000, I started selling a ton of these notes. It was insane how many people wouldn't buy them at $1,000, but they started buying from me at $6,000 and $8,000. And so we got them online. All of a sudden they went to 3 cents, 5 cents, 15, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60. It was like popcorn. I was like, what is going on? And I woke up one day and I had $10.2 million liquid cash in my account. I remember I called my mom and I was literally had tears in my eyes. I was crying. I'm like, I'd never been a multi-millionaire before. And it was liquid dollars. And I was like, what do I do? Well, the first thing I did was pay off anything that I had. Secondly, I was like, I've always wanted a Bentley GT Continental. So I was like, man, it'd be kind of cool to go get a Bentley, my dream car. And I talked to my mom. She goes, well, listen, you got enough really to buy 35 of them cash or 37 of them cash. If you don't go get it now, when will you ever get it? I was like, man, I just don't ever want to go broke again. She goes, don't go broke. Just go take care of yourself and treat yourself. So I went and got my brand new Bentley GT. I still have it. She's a beauty. Great. And it felt great. It gave me a lot of energy. It gave me a lot of excitement about this. I'm like, man, how many more lives can I impact, whether it's a car or a new home for a family? How many lives can I impact if I took this energy and really started sharing the word all over the place about these projects? So I want to show you guys real briefly. This is my back office. Still 4 years later, the money that Tony should have and could have bought his nodes with. Sorry, Tony, a little poke. But I'm still getting over 7,000 Gala per day right here. And you say, Billy, what's that worth? Well, if we go here, it's not a lot right now. It's think Gala, give it a second here. You can go right here. It's at 4.5 cents. So blah, blah, blah. Let me just do that. 7,050 times 0.04282, about $300 a day times 30. It's about $9,000 at this very moment. But how many of you guys on here for extra $9,000 a month? How many of you guys would that be life-changing? That you had that kind of money coming in every day, $300. So what that means is, guys, COVID hit, times were tough. People were struggling. People couldn't pay their light bill or anything else. Imagine getting the extra $300 per day. Now I can talk about this because we've already made this. I can't make future earning promises, as I never will, but I can literally talk about this because I'm making this every day. It's liquid. I can literally cash this out right this second, and it's in my bank account. So let that be a little note to self to you guys. We can't go out and make future earning promises, but I can sit here and disclose this because this is real. Right now, I can cash this out today. It'll be in my bank account tomorrow, or like Tony said, I can put it on my switch card and use it right away. So I've already went through this process once. Kathy is like my mama bear. We have a great relationship over 3.5 years. So anyway, this is my distribution. So I don't want to stay on Gala, but what I want to do is just show you guys the impact 4 years later. Last month it was at 8 cents, so I was getting about $15,000 a month. Excuse me. This fluctuates as it goes, so it's really cool. And then I always like to just show people, scoot back a couple years ago, so you actually see. Because a lot of people talk the talk, and I think it's important to validate, even though we really don't need to. I just do this to show people. A couple years ago, what I was pulling out. So you see the full circle. You see a couple years ago where we were at, what was pulled out. This is really going to hurt Tony, because I know Tony wouldn't have bought 11 notes. Tony would have bought, he would have bought 1,000 to 5,000 of these notes. So this is really going to sting him. Sorry. But this is for the average people out there, Tony. So right here, we're just going to go back 2, 3. This is on the blockchain, all verifiable, guys. So right here, boom. Now, I wasn't pulling out $2 million. I was pulling out 2 million Gala. So let me show you this real quick. If I go here and I type in, oops, I'll let that load for a second. We're on the Zoom, so it may not load. Here we go. All time. Boom. And if you go back exactly right there, it's 66 cents. 2 years ago, right on that market was 66 cents. So I was pulled out 2 million, 1 million, 100,000, 100,000, 100,000, 2 million, 1 million, and it goes on and on and on. This is all registered right on the blockchain. So I like to show that so you guys kind of visualize when it comes in. Let me go back up here. When it comes in right here, your rewards, if you're new to this platform, they just accumulate. So right here, they come in on a daily distribution. And then right here, I can go here and I can say inventory. I like to walk people through this so they kind of watch that whole process. They go in here. You can move them over to the chain. Here's another 300,000 of them sitting here. Boom. And then I can send them over to Switch. And then I can sell them. I can swap them over to USDT, USDC, or just sell them on the open market, which there's plenty of liquidity. And then I can use them right here with my debit card, or I can move them straight into my account. So the reason Tony and I are super, super excited is because all these other blockchains are blockchains we really, really believe in. The reason I'm so bullish, obviously, a lot of the same reason on Switch. Obviously, I've been here from day one to help Kathy and Brad from day one launching this. But one of the key things that Tony may not have mentioned, I didn't hear him mention it, but he probably did because he's sharp and he remembers everything a lot better than I do. But one of the really cool things about Switch is it not only can you convert crypto very quickly, you can get it into the market extremely fast within literally the same day. But one of the biggest issues, if you look at Coinbase or Binance, what's the biggest issue those companies have? Try to do a support ticket and hear back from Coinbase in 2 or 3 weeks or 30 days. Blockchain needed a solution. We needed a solution in the banking institute. So it's Kathy, who ran customer service for Discover Card before she became the COO. She goes, we need live customer service on the blockchain. It does not exist anywhere other than on our platform. So when you do a support ticket on our blockchain, you actually get a live person on the opposite end to answer your questions on your support ticket. Guys, if you guys have been in this space for a while, you understand how big that is. That is absolutely astronomical to have real customer service on the blockchain. So it's super, super exciting to be a part of the movement. When I went back and I made this money with Wright, it's kind of crazy because all the guys that I made, when I say this, it sounds kind of funny. I only made 10.2 million bucks, but everybody else made 10 times what I made. It was kind of nuts that we were all part of, like Tony said, the Super Bowl, if you will, and we all got our rings, but I was hungry for more because I made less than everybody. So I was like, man, I've got to get back in the game, coach. I worked off season. I helped build these things, and I've been back in the trenches. Now, instead of owning 11 nodes, I have hundreds and hundreds, a lot more nodes. And it's not about me, it's about you. So what you've got to do is dive into some of these videos, learn about these projects, see which ones move you. If you're like Tony and I, you have your fingers in a little bit of all of them because you want to diversify your portfolio. It's a really epic time right now that you can be a part of something so special that I don't think that you've got it yet. But by the numbers I'm seeing through some of these guys like Brian and D, and I know that Ryan came on, and now Danny, I got to spend some time with Danny. Danny, are you, and I got to share a lot with Danny. Is Danny on here? Can you make Danny a host?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. I want Danny to speak briefly, a little bit about your experience so far, about there, and really about the community. And I'll tell you guys, one of the things I want to share with you guys, since we have some network marketers on here or some builders on here or whatever you want to call them, when you build something over here, this is the part when it gets you, and I explained this to Danny, and I saw Danny's eyes just working overtime, and then it just clicked, and his eyes just got huge. He's like, repeat that again to me. And he's like, I explained it again, is when you're part of a direct sales company or a different sales company, you have an attrition rate of maybe 3 to 5% of the people that stay. So you have to continue build and build and build and build. When you build something on the blockchain that's this special that we do over here, the really cool part is when you have a friend chain on the blockchain. Let's just say my friend Brian here buys some nodes, and he's not happy. He didn't like the way it went for whatever reason. He said, man, I'm out. Well, Brian just spent $9,000, $10,000 on his nodes. He's not just going to turn them off and walk away. What's Brian going to do? He's going to sell them to a buddy, or, whatever he's going to sell his whole account eventually. You can't sell till all the nodes are sold off on that particular project, but eventually he'll be able to sell them off. When he does, let's say that Mark comes around, Mark grabs that account, Mark sees the value in what we're doing, and Mark starts buying more nodes and buying more nodes. Guess who that's attached to? I'm not attached to Brian. I'm attached to that account, which means I have that account for life, that it's a joint account to me. And so any other purchases from that point on for life, I'm attached to. I can still create value out of that. I can still get a commissionable rate off of that. Guys, that's huge. I can't tell you how Tony and Danny both have built massive organizations. And to tell somebody that if they walked away from the company, but they can just hand off their business to somebody else and they come in and start doing something, that doesn't exist over on the other side of the island. But on this side, it does. But I got the chance to talk with Danny. I'm going to pause real quick and let Danny kind of speak. Unmute yourself, Danny, when you get a chance. And,
Got it. I'm here.
And Danny, just share a little bit about your experience so far with us, and about Kauai a little bit, and what we talked about, a little bit of that.
I mean, it was okay. I mean, it was Kauai. I mean, look, I'm going to sound like a networker when I say this. This is for real. It was by far the most life-changing event I've ever been to in my life. And why I say that, it's almost like my eyes were opened even more. I mean, I've been building this for a few months, been having fun, sharing it with a lot of people. But when I really understood what was behind this, I had met Wright, I've worked with Tony, I got to meet you, got to meet all the people in charge of the companies and what they're doing. It really blew my mind that I thought, okay, we can really build something here that's going to last a lifetime. And I've never had that in my life. I mean, I've built many businesses, and it's like, wow, I became a jumper, back to this one, back to that one, selling this, selling skincare, selling whatever. But I looked at this like, there's going to be many projects on here. And you said something, Billy, one time, because I go, oh, you made all that money in Gala, but we have like a dozen projects here. And you were like, well, the next project is going to be big, like the first one or the second one, then the fifth one, then the 20th and the 30th and the 50th. It's like, we can really make a change in the world by helping people. Sure, we can make money, but I look at it like, the more people that we go out there and share this with, the bigger the community gets, the more people understand what we're doing, and the more people really open their eyes to understand what we're doing, what we're doing here. So, did you want to say something?
No.
My wife is sitting right next to me,
No,
and she's like, "Should I jump on? Should I jump on? Oh my gosh, my hair's not done. I don't know." But my wife has not slept in days. Like,
hi, Billy. I
We-
know. I was just gonna say my husband's officially addicted to nodes. We don't sleep in our household for 9 weeks and we're addicted. We're having a time of our life. This is the first time I've had fun in a couple of years, sharing with people, building a business, and just passionately loving what we're doing.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's what I want to say.
Yeah. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Darren, for sharing this with me. And I will tell you one thing. Darren called my wife 6 months ago and said, "Hey, what are you doing for dinner?" And she's like, "What are you in Dallas?" He's in Virginia. And he talked to her because I wanted nothing to do with network marketing anymore. And he got her to take me to dinner where I sat down and met with Tony. And that's where this whole thing began. But when we were in Scottsdale and we heard about nodes, we looked at each other like, this is the dumbest thing. Like, what nodes? But it's been, it's been the most incredible experience we've ever had. So I thank you very much. I'm excited to work with everybody here. We are a big team. So Billy, thanks for spending time with us, important time into us as well.
Yeah, so guys, I want to share, and Tony can kind of elaborate a little bit more on this as well, is a lot of things. Kauai was great for the core team and the builders and the brands to all come together and kind of lay out a game plan for the future of us. The brands are going to be the brands. They're going to build the brand. That's their job. But for leaders like us, it's been here and these guys that are coming on board and just crushing it, crushing numbers that just insane numbers. We decided with Tomas and some other guys, we've really got to start setting up meetings in these towns where you guys are really building. And then those are going to lead into regional events. And those are going to lead into national and international events. And so we're going to be rolling out some information. Tony, when do you know when that's coming out? You're muted, Tony.
So we're working on putting the schedule together. I know I'll put a link right now. We've got Palm Beach on Saturday. And I'll throw a link into the chat right now where you can just get the details on that. And I have a mastermind event that I have to go to in Dallas and speak at. And then I think when are you looking at Vegas, Billy?
We're looking at either the 24th or the 26th. Brad and I were just kind of solidifying stuff. They're going to let us know tomorrow. So we will be hosting an event right here at Aria at Poker Go in Las Vegas. Me and Tomas, and I think maybe even Danny will be here, and Tony, I'm sure.
Yeah.
And then we're going to fly from there to, I think, Amsterdam and Dubai.
Yeah.
So we're gonna pack up and we're gonna get out there. So if you guys have leaders in different areas, we're gonna be out there supporting them. Just like I told Danny, anytime he needs me on his Zoom or Tony, we work together. Guys, this is the reason we work together like this is because this is a decentralized platform, which means the more people that have nodes, the more people that are on our platform, we all win. In direct sales or any kind of network building scenario, that's not the case. It's eat, you have to go out and kill what you eat, and that's your thing. But here it's completely different. We have to come together. We all work together, and we want to support you because maybe you don't have the funds to travel around or the availability or whatever. We are here for you guys. We are servants to you guys. We're here to build for you guys. But coming up, Vegas is going to be right after Tony's event. And then I think we're going to go to Amsterdam and Dubai from there.
That's the plan. And we'll make sure, as the schedule gets ironed out, we'll have it in the back office. People will be able to click and see the calendar, see where it's at. And eventually we'll have, I got a message from Ange, one of our Australians, and she was like, I want to start running some events in Australia. It's like, all right, I'd like to go to Australia. So sounds good to me. So we'll end up with events going on all over the world. People will be able to plug people into those events and get them the information, get them started. And maybe you're not in Australia, but you start building a team in Australia. Maybe you're not in Florida here on Saturday, but if you send folks in to meet with us, Darren Kidd's going to be there. I'll be there. Darren's the CEO of Rally, the meeting software. Paul will be there. Paul's the CEO of Rev, the rideshare. And so we'll be sharing these projects with everybody. And I think, you're going to start seeing, as Billy said, events popping up around the world, and it's going to get more and more exciting as we go.
So Brian, where do you want to go from here? You want to have any questions since we got us for a few more minutes? I know we're a little over on time. I was a little long-winded, but you want to kind of grab a couple of questions real quick that we can answer for people?
Well, I mean, the only question I've seen is how do we get started? You guys
Well,
covered everything.
Yeah. The best thing is just get back to the person who invited you. Whoever invited you to this Zoom, you can't sign up with Connect United unless you get back to the individual who invited you. I love that. So just get whoever invited you to this Zoom, however you found out about it, just get back with that individual and they'll get you to the next steps. But any other questions? If you guys
Someone
have
was asking about the event in Palm Beach. You could just show up, but if you click that link above the information I sent, I'll have to post it again because a bunch of people. This link should allow you to register, just so we get an idea of how many folks are going to be there. For the room. We've got to set the room a specific way, and so if you've got people that are going for sure, we want to know, how many are going to be there, and we'll, normally we try and do kind of a classroom setup with tables and stuff like that, but sometimes there's too many people, so we just end up with chairs, which is fine.
Tony, one question was, when will the Rev and Rally sites be available so somebody can read up more about that?
Yeah, so we're waiting on legal, believe it or not. So the law firm Blockade helps to put our charters together, and that should be done this week, which is only one more day left in this week. So once the charters are done, then we're pretty much good to be able to go live on site. And so I'd say if all goes well with legal, next week sometime, we'll have the sites up and the white paper. Well, initially it'll be just the charter. The charter will be up. It's basically the rules for the blockchain, the rewards, how you get the nodes, the tokenomics. It'll all be on there for people to review. And then we'll eventually convert it to a light paper, which is kind of what Galvin has. It's just a really easy to read. The charter looks almost like a contract, like a legal document, but the light papers, I think it's more like a Dr. Seuss book. It's way more fun to read a light paper than it is to read a charter, at least for me. If there's lawyers on here, they're probably like, just give me the charter. I want to read that. But yeah, it'll be soon. It'll be soon. We're diligently working. I don't know if the programmers have been sleeping at all either. They're working around the clock to make sure we're ready. The launch date's planned on both projects to be fully on the blockchain May 1. And you never know with programming, things can come up, but so far we're hitting our targets. So as long as we keep it up, everything's going to be live on May 1.
Perfect. Any other questions before we jump
Yeah.
off?
Hey,
Yes.
Tony, Ange here. Thanks,
Yeah,
guys.
Ange.
Thanks, Billy. Tony, one of the first calls I saw of you mentioned something that the win nodes could and are likely to go 100x, 1000x. Can we still say that? And can you?
I don't know if I said that.
Yeah, you did. Yeah, you did. It excited
I
me.
said if it hits, right? Like that's the big if. Like if it hits. Same with Rev, same with Rally. I mean, Gala went 1000x on the node owners that bought when Billy bought.
So I can give you the real numbers on Gala since I have my nodes and
there you go.
So I can give you the real
Tony,
numbers.
you can't answer this.
For every one node that we had online with Gala, and it started, we had it online for day one of distribution. For every one node, it paid out $932,000, which was about a 530 something %, crush. So it was, we crushed it. So it was astronomical. We obviously don't put that out there, but that is the possibility, right? That's even if it only goes to 1 penny, you've done extremely well. So, that's what we tell people is, listen, we can't, and the whole goal for these companies is we're going to create so much value in these companies that even if it never goes to zero, you're going to have utility in them. So that's the whole point behind having a company like us. And the more utility we build, the more value it's going to be perceived out there. If we have so much value, even if it never even goes to a penny, and you still have that much value, it's almost impossible for it not to do something really cool.
Right. Wicked. Thanks, guys. See you in Australia soon.
Yes.
I got 2 more hands up. I've got another meeting I got to go to in 6 minutes, so I got time for probably 2 questions. Jeff had his up. Jeff, fire away if you can. Your question.
Phenomenal. Thank you once again. I'm excited. You know, I'm a proud owner of these nodes. Question about the actual rally. And I really don't understand the Discord, but the rally. Are we able to see like how it's going to look like before it launches to the market? You know,
Yeah, so we've demoed it already. So there's two demos. So there's one where we're looking to grab a particular software and use it. So that'll have a look similar to Zoom. The other one that we demo is similar to Google Meet. And we're still kind of in between right now to see what instance initially can handle the amount of meetings that are going to be on it. And so we're kind of going with two right now that they're building to see which servers can handle the most and how many nodes we need to run those networks. And so almost all of them are going to look like Zoom, Google Meet, and Microsoft Teams. Like there's not a lot of difference. You're going to see me. I've demoed them. I've been on them. I can't tell the difference between Zoom and the ones we're on. You know, there's some more bells and whistles. If we go with the one software, if it's able to handle it, then Zoom has. Like you can stream, you can do a lot of different things that's better. I can pull a video in, load it ahead of time, play the video, talk over the video, pause the video, which if we wanted to show you a video right now, we got to share screen, put the video up, and then we're out. Like we got to wait for the video or stop the video, move it out, and then we could talk again. So our software, it's going to be as good or better than Zoom. Now on May 1st, will it be? I don't know. You know, I think it's going to be good enough, right? Like that, it's going to be beta, right? Like just like when they gave me my first Switch wallet, it was beta. They were working on stuff. They let me know, hey, we're working on stuff. And so I always gave them some grace when things didn't quite work as planned, but it's gotten better and better and better. And we'll do the same with Rally.
All right, we got two more questions. Go ahead. Let me see who this is. Ask to unmute.
Hi, I'm Harriet, and
Hey,
I
Harriet.
was introduced to this maybe 2 hours ago. And I watched one video and I have an idea, and I have some familiarity with crypto and tokens and mining. And so my question is Connect United partnering with different companies to help them like get off the ground? And are you doing the mining for their tokens? And are you the only ones mining their tokens?
We are.
So
Yes.
the more nodes you sell, then the less tokens per node. Am I right?
So on most of our platforms, we have 100,000 nodes on each platform. We have 50 billion tokens on each platform. Now, what most of you guys probably don't understand, or some may, but for someone like yourself that doesn't understand, is what happens is we have a halving event every year. So year one, there's 50 billion tokens. So year one, we reward the early adapters. So you come in and support that blockchain early on. Bitcoin has a halving event every 4 years. We have a halving event once a year. So year one, 25 billion tokens are going out. Year two, 12.5 billion. Year three, 6.255, blah, 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 blah. And that continues going on. So a lot of people say, well, how's the company going to last in 4 or 5 years from now? What's going to happen? What they don't understand is as the company grows and it gets bigger and bigger, more people are on the network. So if you look at my Gala, the distribution's going from down, 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 up, up, up. Why? Every one of those gamers on the platform, they buy an NFT, sell an NFT, there's a gas fee attached to that. Because we are our own layer one blockchain, all those gas fees go into a bucket. And guess where they go? They don't go back to the founders of the company. They don't go back to the people that created. They go back to the node owners. So all of them go in a bucket, and then they get distributed every day back. All those gas fees, millions of dollars of gas fees go back to the node owners. So that's how the company will stay in business for years to come. As long as people are on the network and they see value in it, it'll continue to grow and grow and grow from there. All right.
Last question.
Last question.
We got for the win.
Last one. There we go.
There you go. Sorry, let me ask unmute.
Oh, there we go. You
Yep,
doing it?
it's me, Sam. Sorry, I don't have my name on there right now.
No worries.
Hey guys, thanks so much. And Billy, oh my God, Vegas. I hope you mean April 24th through 26th when you say that.
Yes. He does.
Okay, good. Okay, good, because I'm going to be on a cruise on the 24th in May. So yay, I get to meet you. Okay, so my question was about Switch. I know that it's in beta for the Switch card. Are we able to use Switch to, like you had referenced, buying Bitcoin and moving it around? Can we do that with Switch right now?
Absolutely.
I signed up with Switch, and then I saw that there was a second part to it where, the second part was the KYC,
Yep.
so I did all the aspects of Switch, but I was still a little confused on it.
Yeah, as long as you have your wallet set up, the KYC usually takes about 48 hours, give or take. It could take 72, but it's pretty quick. Depends on how many people are in the queue. So once that is done, then you can start making your purchases. Absolutely.
Okay, cool. Thanks so much. And Billy, I'll see you next week, maybe.
You bet. Well, I'll be here, that's for sure. So, Brian, are you still on?
Yeah, we're good. Thank you for being on, guys. Thank you, Tony. Thank you, Billy. Thank you, Danny. Thank you, Ryan. I'll end this recording because I know it's going to be really long. Definitely get back with the person that invited you here. I don't even know if there's going to be the 10 o'clock one, which is already 30 minutes after that. So I'll go ahead and end this, but get back with the person that invited you. And thanks everybody for being on.